And my Butter Crunch toffee, oh, when you bite into it, it snaps and then melts away into buttery nothingness. Let's start with that thin, beautiful Butter Crunch layer. Of course, because I'm making toffee, I need to caramelize sugar. 1¼ cups goes into a pot, and Butter Crunch toffee really does earn its name. I add a full cup of unsalted butter. The last addition to the pot, just 3 tablespoons of water. Now, when I was making the sponge toffee, I was careful not to stir it. This time, because of that butter, I have to stir it. Otherwise, the butter would stick to the bottom of the pot and potentially burn. I'll start this out on high heat. Once it starts boiling and the butter is melted, I'll reduce the heat to medium, and I keep stirring, but just gently. To stir, you want to use a wooden spoon or a silicone spatula. If you were to use a metal spoon, well, it would conduct the heat. Ow. What I need to do is cook this up to 300 degrees. You do need a candy thermometer for this. And here we go. I've hit 300. And I'll quickly take it off the heat, add ½ teaspoon of salt, a splash of vanilla, and a quick stir before I pour it into my pan. So you can really see the color isn't a deep toffee color, but the color intensifies as it cools. Because that sugar hit 300 degrees, you want to give it 2 hours to cool. I'm going to set this aside. And I have one that's cooled completely because it's time for the next step, coating it with chocolate. Now, the thing about a toffee candy like this is it has to be stored at room temperature. You can't store it in the fridge or it turns all sticky and tacky. Basically, the sugar melts. So what you need to do is treat the chocolate in a way that it can be stored at room temperature. That simple process is called tempering. Tempering is just the way you melt the chocolate. You heat it up, you cool it down a little bit, and then you warm it up just a little more. And what that means is you get a chocolate that sets beautifully with a perfect shine, and it stores for ages at room temperature. So what I want to do is weigh out 12 ounces of a bittersweet chocolate. I'm just going to pull out about 3 ounces of chocolate. And the remaining chocolate, I melt over a water bath. I'll let that sit for a second just to warm up, and then gently stir your chocolate to melt it. The temperatures you want to hit when you're tempering this chocolate is first, you melt it to 113 to 122, then you cool it down to 82, and then you warm it back up to between 88 and 90. So you do have a bit of wiggle room. All right, let's give this a test. And just above 113. I'll take this off the heat. So now that I have nice, smoothly melted chocolate, I need to cool it down a little bit. That's why I reserved the 3 ounces of chocolate. And so I keep stirring until that chocolate I just added has melted through, and then I'll check the temperature. All right, I can't see any of that second addition of chocolate. I'll check that I've hit 82. All right. But now I have to warm it up, but just a little bit. So I'll just pop it back on. And honestly, this only takes anywhere from 30 seconds to 90 seconds. And there we go. Okay. Now I have my tempered chocolate. Pour half of it onto the Butter Crunch because I'm saving the other half for the second side. Take the spatula and spread it to completely cover. Now, before the chocolate sets, I'm going to sprinkle on some lightly toasted almonds and a little pinch of sea salt. Oh, this looks incredible. But I find what makes the best Butter Crunch is 2 coatings of chocolate. Now I'll put this aside to set up, and I have one that's already had time to rest. So I need to flip it over so I can take care of that other side. Got a tray and a piece of parchment. And just be very gentle here. Flip it over. And after you flip it over, just peel off the parchment. The last of the chocolate goes on the opposite side. Oh, gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous. Right to the edges. That sprinkling of almonds. And a little sprinkling of sea salt. Now, the last little thing I do when I'm working with chocolate is I pop this in the fridge, but only for 3 to 5 minutes. I never store it for longer than that. That's the final set you want on the chocolate, so you get that perfect snap when you bite into it. And once it comes out of the fridge, then it is perfectly stable to store at room temperature. So then, this is so tender, you don't need to crack it with a rolling pin. Just give it a nice little break, and then you break it into bite-sized pieces. See, you've got that butter crunch in the middle, the 2 chocolate layers. Oh, what a treat. You can eat it as is. I have used it to glue onto the side of chocolate cake, and I think I have another use in mind for this too.